All right. Thank you, guys. Paolo, thanks so much for joining us. This is Stablecoin Summit 2023 in Singapore.
Thank
Paolo, you want to say hi?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me.
All right. So great. So Paolo, I have a few questions today for you. The first one is regarding Tether's product market fit in emerging markets. As an annual event for the stablecoin industry, we have with us today many stablecoin issuers and operators. Many of them are startups. One of the most difficult startup challenges is finding product market fit. Too many companies struggle for years to reach product market fit. One excellent application for stablecoins is solving emerging markets' US dollar liquidity issue. Here, Tether has created an extremely strong product market fit. From the 21 Latin American countries to Turkey and the Middle East, to Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Pakistan, and India, to the 54 African countries. Can you please share Tether's keys to success with our fellow stablecoin issuers and entrepreneurs? What did you get right in this one?
Well, that is a really interesting question. I would like to start, if you allow me 1 minute, with the fact that Tether was born in 2014. Tether USDT was the first stablecoin, right? And I think 9 years after, on the 6th of October 2023, USDT will have its 9th birthday. And as the first stablecoin, it started as a really simple idea, right? There was Bitcoin at that time, Litecoin, a couple other assets, but was only about allowing to put a dollar on a blockchain to allow cryptocurrency arbitrage. Simple as that. So many years after, especially in the last 3 years, we have seen a shift of the usage of USDT and our other products from being products just used in the cryptocurrency trading to actually products used in real life by more than 100 million people around the world. And I wish I could say that we had everything planned. I wish I could say that it's all because we had a brilliant marketing in all these countries, in developing countries and emerging markets. The reality of things is that in 3 years ago, with the start of the pandemic, there was the increase of the increase in inflation, an insane devaluation of many national currencies. You mentioned Turkey. The Turkish lira devaluated, I think, 80% in the last 18 months compared to the US dollar. If you look at the Argentinian pesos, that is even worse. You have Venezuela, you have many countries in Africa, you have countries in Middle East and Central Asia. So all the common story is the uncertainty of their national currency. And the reality is that the US dollar, I'm a Bitcoiner, I love Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin event, I'm a big believer in a future of hyper Bitcoinization. The reality of things, though, in this precise moment in time, is that the world wants the dollar. At least the world of emerging markets, developing countries, is made not by, there are central banks there, right? It's made by, there are politicians for sure, but the reality, if you look at the communities inside these countries, they have the knowledge of the fact that dollar and gold are the two assets that they knew for a longer time, the assets that they knew to be stable for a long time. Gold has been used by these communities for a long time, for thousands of years, and US dollar anyway has been used for many decades as a reserve asset in their own countries. So when these communities have started to see their national currency devaluating so quickly against the dollar, they looked around and they try to find solutions. Because if you are a person in one of these countries, you work the entire year, you work hard, you want to provide for your family, and the result is that at the end of the year, you are poorer compared to the beginning of the year, because just although you work, you accrued more value in your national currency. The value of that national currency has gone down the bean compared to other national currencies like the US dollar. So this community started to look around and trying to find solutions. There are basically two solutions. Either you try to buy US dollars and gold through your central bank or to your bank, and that poses an issue. If you look at Argentina, what is happening in Argentina is that as an Argentinian, you can only buy $200 through your bank per month. So you are limited. And also in case of default, you don't have the certainty that these dollars are not taken over by the central bank. In fact, it happened in the past that the central bank would resort to access dollars in belonging to Argentinian people in the bank accounts in Argentina. And so honestly, people are sick and tired of this thing happening over and over. Governments printing insane amount of money, wasting a ton of money in stupid things. And so they look at alternatives. And the most widely adopted and trusted alternative happened to be Tether USDT. It's a simple product, right? It's a simple product that is managed by a group of people that are really deeply committed to the space, that created the stablecoin industry with their first product. And they are committed to advance it. They are committed to innovate, keep innovating. And so USDT started to be the common denominator for many merchants started to accept payments. Import export started to accept USDT, and the growth has been incredibly organic. It's not many know, but USDT didn't have a marketing team until late 2021. So everything that this entire adoption of USDT happened through real world usage, people in need. I was hearing in I think the previous panel was some guys discussing about the fact that it's important for a stablecoin to share some of its profits. One note that I would like to make, and although it's definitely an interesting concept, there are some legal issues with that, for the fact that would be considered usually if someone would hold a token with the expectation of a profit, that would be considered a security. Nevertheless, the other issue would be that in many of these countries, if you talk to a person in Turkey that is a normal person, not a crypto folk like us, right? Not a person that maybe is looking for yields and on DeFi or a degen and so on. But if you talk to any person in the street, the only thing that they care is that they don't lose 80% per year. If a stablecoin would hold or make money on a 3-4% per year, that's fine for them, right? So if you're go in Argentina pesos lost 98% compared to the dollar. What's 4 or 5% to them? It's nothing. So they want to make sure that their the ability to provide for their family is protected. They want to make sure that the asset that they hold is stable, that is safe, and so on and so forth. Those are their primary issues. And so that's why when you talk about the product market fit, that's the understanding of Tether, right? So we don't try to create products that are fit for our, let's say, crypto industry. We try to create products that are fit for the rest of the world that accounts for 99.9% of the population.
Got it, Paolo. Yeah, it's just our observation has been because we also operate in emerging markets and we go to quite a few events. We never see you do marketing. But our observation is you do understand emerging markets pain points very, very well, and much better than many players in this industry. My second question is regarding in the next 3 years, Tether's big direction, crypto trading versus emerging market cross-border payments. As a new technology, stablecoins enable 10x better freedom, self-sovereignty, speed, liquidity, and market efficiency. Today, there are two very different areas where USDT provides breakthrough liquidity and market efficiency, multiple times better than previous technologies. One is in crypto trading. USDT traded pairs such as BTC and ETH/USDT provides the best market efficiency for crypto traders. The second is in emerging markets access to the US dollar, like what we're just talking about. USDT is used by cross-border brick-mortar businesses in manufacturing, textile, agriculture, fishing, and many more. Many of them have nothing to do with our industry, the crypto industry. It's also used by foreign working professionals to remit money home. So with these two very different areas, crypto trading versus emerging market cross-border payment, where would Tether's focus be for the next 3 years and why? Thank you, Paolo.
Thank you, Wayne. So Tether is shifting to be just a stablecoin company, right? So it's been known for its main products. One of the, I think, the most important products actually that I didn't mention so far is XRT, that I think in next years will provide an interesting edge against US dollar stablecoins as well. I think one good example of our ability to innovate is the fact that since I think 2.5 years is when XLT started, we didn't just stop and thinking, okay, well, we have the best, most used US dollar stablecoin in the world. So, okay, now our job is done. We can go and relax. That is not our approach. We look at the geopolitics, the macroeconomic economic indicators, and we thought that maybe there could be a better product, even of USDT. And that better product would have been XLT, that is Tether Gold. And that's a good example of how we think. We know we are seeing, for example, in this period of time, BRICS are discussing about creating their own currency or potentially using gold or other things that are not the US dollar. And so that maybe in the next 3, 4, 5, 10 years would create a sort of uncertainty or less predictability of the stability of the US dollar. And while the US dollar, as I said before, is the most relevant asset in this moment in time, who knows what the future holds? And I think that there is an intrinsic beauty in Tether Gold and gold in general. Again, I'm a Bitcoiner, but I also live in the real life, right? So I like to talk about Web3, about crypto, about Bitcoin, about Lightning Network, and so on. But I think sometimes we make the mistake of thinking that everything in the world revolves around our technologies and Web3 and all the buzzwords that we're using. But the reality of things, as I said, if we look deeper, we see that the world is in not great shape from a geopolitical perspective. There are some tensions, and there is an asset that has been used and understood throughout the history of humanity for the last many years and thousands of years, and that has been gold. And so that's why Tether 3.5 years ago, when there was definitely less US dollar stablecoin competition, already looked at moving to the next, or to create an alternative. So we think that, if you look at all the resets of wealth in the history of humanity, basically all of them happened through gold. people, moving across continents, right? So when to look to find a better fortune for themselves and their families, always used gold as a transport of wealth. For sure, now people could use a better solution than gold, that is called Bitcoin. Nevertheless, not everyone understands Bitcoin yet. And so as we, I think, nailed the problem with USDT, I think that XLT, Tether Gold, will be an important product for the next years. It's 100% backed by physical gold in Switzerland. Switzerland is the safest place in the world. So we think that that will represent another huge step for stablecoins and commodity-backed stablecoins for the next several years. Another way to think about it and look at it is our approach in looking how the world is evolving. An obvious thing to state is that everyone is connected to the internet. Almost everyone is connected to the internet. In the common denominator, almost everyone in the world is having access to a smartphone at least, or at least to a phone and mobile money. And so I think that the future is looking at those areas, to understand how stablecoins and the Tether products could be used to help the population that is called unbanked. There are more than 3 billion people in the world that currently don't have proper access to financial services. And so this issue is an important one, because I think stable coins, and not only dollar stable coins, but especially also gold-backed stable coins, could actually provide a more resilient solution also to the possibility that even important economies like the US dollar could take a hit in the next years. And one interesting aspect of the using gold as a stable coin is the fact that, I'm Italian, so I like to make references to previous history in Italy. But there was, I think, Cicero, that was an important person in the Roman times, said that with 1 ounce of gold, you could buy a fine vest and a nice pair of sandals in Rome back around, the start of, basically just after Christ. And so if you think about it, an ounce of gold nowadays is around $1,950. And if you go and want to buy a fine vest, a nice pair of shoes, that is pretty much how much you would pay for that in today. So throughout the history of humanity for the last 2,000 years, at once 1 ounce of gold have maintained the purchasing power. That is a really interesting, I think, point that not many think about. And maybe the future will hold gold as another an asset that people will use again to transact.
Okay.
Happened, so we should.
So Paolo, so thank you. So the question was, for the next 3 years, is Tether going to double down on crypto trading with USDT, or are you going to double down on cross-border in emerging markets use of USDT? And your answer is you feel that Tether's next big product is tokenized gold. Because you feel, because of geopolitical tensions, because of the growing BRIC influences, because of many things, the world can really use tokenized gold.
Yeah, sorry for the long-winded answer, but yes. So I think the researching on new stable coins will help both the crypto trading, because XOT could be a good pair to trade against Bitcoin against. And also gold is if you remember, one of the last news about the BRICS group was researching a gold-based common currency. And so you see that also when it comes to import, export, cross-border trading, trading of physical products, right? So if you buy cotton from China and you are in Turkey in big quantities, what currency would you use? And I think a stablecoin like XRT and USDT will dominate that world as well.
So Paulo, gold is new to me. I understand the thousands of years of consensus that human cultures have had with gold, but I'm not very familiar with the audit and custody of gold. Are you planning to have Tether's tokenized gold also audited the same way that your custodied treasury bills are with USDT?
So for USDT, we are providing an attestation from a top fifth auditing firm in the world called BDO. For gold, the process will be similar. We plan to release attestations showing of course, the existence of the gold bars. And these will be periodic to give reassurance to people that are using Tether Gold that gold is there and is physical, exists, and is in good quality, because we are only using London good delivery bars. They are certified, and so that is important, right? So because being also Tether Gold a centralized stablecoin as USDT and the bigger other US dollar-based stablecoins, then being centralized, people want to have some sort of reassurance that the backing properly exists, and so that is what we plan to do.
Got it. Thank you, Paulo. Moving on to question 3, and with this question, I want to talk about peer-to-peer technology and also hole punch. So Paolo, you mentioned that Tether people are Bitcoiners at heart. Last year, Bitfinex inaugurated the Freedom Manifesto. Satoshi's Bitcoin blockchain design incorporated 2 important elements. 1, peer-to-peer networking using a gossip protocol. 2, transparency using a decentralized ledger. The P2P part enabled financial sovereignty and freedom. The transparency part turned out to be a super efficient trust acquisition mechanism. Today, Tether issues more than 80 billion USDTs on public ledgers that offer unprecedented transparency. Market participants have built countless analytics against USDT, from open dashboards like Dune to commercial ones such as Nansen, DeFi Llama, and CoinGecko. As Tether CTO, we've all noticed that you've been spending a considerable amount of time on Hole Punch, which is a P2P infrastructure that developers can use to build applications ranging from chat to video conferencing to file sharing. Question is, can we also build stablecoins on top of this P2P technology? And if the answer is yes, then while Hole Punch offers the P2P side of Satoshi's original equation, how about on the transparency side? Thank you, Paolo.
Thank you, Winnie. That is the great question, and Hole Punch, as you said, is something that I'm dedicating a lot of time to recently. I think really quickly, the reason for that is that I think we have now Bitcoin, we have a ledger technology to transfer money in a way that is decentralized. We have a way to, transparent and so on. So in a way, financial freedom can be achieved through Bitcoin and using distributed ledger technology. But what I think is missing is actually the counterparty for Bitcoin and distributed ledger technology for communication, right? So there are people that would tell you, well, you can use blockchains for everything, including for communications. That is, in my opinion, not the right approach. It's completely inefficient. And the way to handle that is to rethink about cryptography and communication in the pure peer-to-peer aspect. We knew throughout the last decades a product called BitTorrent, and Hole Punch actually use similar protocols and technologies in a way that, though, goes beyond the simple use case of BitTorrent of being a file transfer solution, but also enable communication of any type across devices. One device connect to another, the devices can talk directly without any centralized infrastructure. That is the value proposition of Hole Punch. So now, one of the things that after working a lot on Hole Punch, I thought, well, but what if we could use this technology? That this technology doesn't have any token. Hole Punch doesn't have any token, any global shared state. Blockchains usually have a global shared state where if you put something on the blockchain, everyone has to see it and kind of acknowledge it in some sort of a consensus. But that is, again, completely inefficient for high quantities of data, large quantities of transactions. And so with Hole Punch, I thought, we cannot create, or how we can, if we were to create a way to transport money and not just as part of information, how we could go about it. And so with our team, we decided to try that, and we created a concept called pair credit. Pair credit is actually a solution and is a Lightning network style solution for issuing assets on Hole Punch technology, assets that have a central issuer. The reality of things in our industry is that if you dig down on many projects, although many projects claim to be decentralized, they have actually a centralized team. DAOs have some sort of common denominator in terms of people. So my point being is that the majority of the assets in this industry and in the broader global industry are anyway centralized, no matter what, no matter how, let's not hide behind a finger. And so if we start from that assumption, and so if we start from the fact that most of the time there is a centralized issuer that holds the backing or has some sort of control over the protocol, why we might not need for every single use case a blockchain, and we might not need for every use case yet another token. So the absurd in a way is in order to use and create your own token on a certain blockchain, you have to hold the other token and use that as a gas fee in order to transact in a decentralized way. But for most of the tokens, distributed ledger technologies are just transport layers. They don't add any decentralization level because, as I said, most of the time there is kind of a narrow team behind the project. And so point being that Hole Punch and pair credit are and could be a solution for centralized issuers like barbershop tokens, plus stable coins or whatever, like a huge variety of tokens to be issued on a product that is completely peer-to-peer, has still Lightning network style consensus in these channels, and so can allow an immense scalability that distributed ledger technologies that have global consensus and shared global state cannot offer.
Got it. So Paolo, but how? As I said, I guess today, because it's been 14, 15 years with the blockchain technology, and people understand how to access information on the blockchain and how to audit stuff on the chain to gain the trust that is needed for people to use a protocol, an asset, a stablecoin that is issued on a chain, right? People's become familiar with that process. How will Hole Punch solve this transparency challenge, this trust challenge?
So if you think of pair credit in the context of Lightning Network on top of Bitcoin, so again, the issuer in pair credit The information on the first layers of this peer-to-peer network would be publicly available and also cryptographically signed by the issuer. The issuer, when Tether issues USDT to any customer, then that information is signed by Tether multi-sig smart contract, private keys, and so on. And so that information is, so there is an attestation of the fact that Tether made that action, and so that is public information. And that, as you said, you're completely right. People expect that, right? So people need to be able to see through the information and understand it and verify it. So also with pair credit, when a issuer would issue tokens on pair credit, that information will be publicly available and signed with the issuer private keys. So on that respect, there is no change. But eventually, these products, these tokens that an issuer created could be used in private Lightning style channels among different parties, and compared to Lightning Network, instead of having basically only 2 parties, you can have multiple parties in these channels. And then once these channels are closed, the result of these channels is settled back to the issuer. And so there is still a layer of transparency that is available, but also there is a pure peer-to-peer layer that allows scalability and privacy as well.
Got it. All right, Paolo. Thanks so much for your time today. Our time is up. We look forward to Tether's collaboration with Hole Punch, and we look forward to the different applications that you guys will be building on Hole Punch. With that, thank you very much today, Paolo. Thank you guys for having us.
Thank you for having me. Hello, everybody. Bye-bye.